Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, Text 29 and 30. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Tasya Vacha Shrutva Trayasте Vibudharshabha Pratyayuhu Shlakshnaya Vacha Prahasyastam Rishim Prabho Maitreya Uvacha Iti Tasya Vacha Shrutva Trayaste Vibudharshabha Pratyahuhu Shlakshnaya Vacha Prahasyastam Rishim Prabho Maitreya Uvacha Iti Tasya Vacha Shrutva Trayaste Vibudharshabha Pratyahuhu Shlakshnaya Vacha Prahasya Tam Rishim Prabho Maitreya Uvacha, the sage Maitreya said, Iti, thus, Tasya, his, Vachaha, words, Shrutva, after hearing, Trayaha, Trayahate, all three, Vibhuda, demigods, Rishabhaha, chiefs, Pratyahuhu, replied, Shlakshnaya, gentle, Vacha, voices, Prahasya, smiling, Tam, unto him, Rishim, the great sage, Prabho, O mighty one. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Maitreya continued, upon hearing Atri Muni speak in that way, the three great deities smiled and they replied in the following sweet words. Text 30. Deva uchuhu yata kritaste sankalpo bhavyam te naiva nanyata sat sankalpasya te brahman yadvaidyayati te vayam Deva uchuhu yata kritaste sankalpo bhavyam te naiva nanyata sat sankalpasya te brahman yadvaidyayati te vayam Deva uchuhu यथा कृतस्ते संकल्पो भाव्यं तेनैव नान्यथा सत्संकल्पस्य ते ब्रह्मन् यद्वै ध्यायति ते वयम् Deva Uchuhu, the demigods replied, Yata, as, Kritaha, done, te, by you, Sankalpaha, determination, Bhavyam, to be done, Tena eva, by that, Na anyata, not otherwise, Sat Sankalpasya, one whose determination is never lost, Te, of you, Brahman, O dear Brahmana, Yet, that which, why, certainly, Dhyayati, meditating, Te, all of them, Vayam, we are. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta from Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The three deities told Atri Muni, Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination, and therefore, as you have decided, so it will happen. It will not happen otherwise. We are all the same person upon whom you are meditating, and therefore we have all come to you. Purport. Atri Muni unspecifically thought about the personality of Godhead, Lord of the universe, although he had no clear idea of the Lord of universe nor his specific form. Mahavishnu, from whose breathing millions of universes emanate and into whom they are again withdrawn, may be accepted as the Lord of the universe. Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, from whose abdomen sprouted the lotus flower, which is the birthplace of Brahma, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Similarly, Kshirodakasaya Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Then, under the order of Kshirodakasaya Vishnu, the Vishnu form within the universe, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva may also be accepted as the lords of the universe. Vishnu is the Lord of the universe because he is the maintainer. Similarly, Brahma creates the different planetary systems and the population, so he may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Or Lord Shiva, who is ultimately the destroyer of the universe, also may be considered its Lord. Therefore, since Atri Muni did not specifically mention whom he wanted, all three, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, came before him. They said, Since you are thinking of having a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, your determination will be fulfilled. In other words, one's determination is fulfilled according to the strength of one's devotion. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9:25, Yanti Deva Vrita Devan Pitrun Yanti Pitruvvritaha. If one is attached to a particular demigod, one is promoted to the abode of that demigod. If one is attached to the Pitas or the forefathers, one is promoted to their planet. And similarly, if one is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, one is promoted to the abode of Lord Krishna. Atri Muni had no clear conception of the Lord of the universe. Therefore, the three presiding deities, who are actually the lords of the universe in the three departments of the modes of nature, all come before him. Now, according to the strength of his determination for a son, his desire would be fulfilled by the grace of the Lord. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I humbly bow down to all the Assembled Vaishnavas and thank them for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. We are discussing the fourth canto, chapter 1, and the verses today are verses 29 and 30. And this is a chapter where genealogical list of all the descendants of Swayambhu Manu, specifically daughters of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, it's all being explained here. So in that context, I think the daughter of Kardama Muni, Kardama Prajapati and Devahuti, Anasuya, and her husband Atri Muni, who was a Manasa Putra of Lord Brahma himself, is being discussed here. And it's mentioned that Anasuya Devi and Atri Muni, after they got married, they wanted to have a child, and the Atri Muni performed severe austerities for hundreds of years, and he wanted to have a child like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, with all the qualities. So he went on meditation. And it's mentioned that after doing the tapasya, where Atri Muni wanted to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son, he was greeted by all three trinities, the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who came and then offered to provide him a son with all their three features. And it actually gave them three sons with all three features. So he was really pleasantly surprised. So we are in the exact verse in 29 and 30, where the prayers of Atri Muni have been answered, and the Trinity has appeared in front of them. And Atri Muni actually asked them, like, he was very pleasantly surprised, and he asked them, I prayed to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, and I see that all three have come. I'm bewildered, and please explain to me why you have come. So, in that context, Srila Prabhupada talks about Atri Muni, even though Atri Muni is considered one of the seven sages. So, we have seven sages: Atri, Brihu, Kutsa, Vasishta, Gautama, Kashyapa, and all these seven sages are considered the Saptarishis. So, he is considered a Saptarishi, but Srila Prabhupada says that even though Atri Muni was in a very exalted position, he didn't know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead was. And he prayed to have his conception was he wanted to have the Lord of the universe as his son. So it's in one sense, Srila Prabhupada gives the explanation like how each of the different expansions of Vishnu, like Mahavishnu, can be, because he permeates everything, he's a source of everything, so he can be considered the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, from whose navel Lord Brahma came from, he can be considered as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because in one sense that also makes he is also the Supreme Personality. For that, he's also the creator of this entire universe. And it can also be seen that the Kshirodak Sai Vishnu, who permeates as the super soul in this entire cosmic manifestation, he can be considered as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And similarly, Brahma, he does the action of creation and he populates this entire universe with the living entities. So since he does the activity of creation, he can be considered as the Lord of the universe. Similarly, Lord Shiva, he takes care of destruction. And so since he destroys everything, he can also be considered as the Lord of the universe. So, depending on the conception which we have, so the Atri Muni did not have this conception that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, even though he wanted to see the Lord of the universe, he saw the Trinity come in front of him. So, this goes on to say that even for Manasa Kumar of Brahma and very elevated sage like Atri, it's not easy to know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. And this actually drew me some interesting parallels with the story of
చాలా
Gajendra.
హ్యాపీ అనిపించింది నాకు.
Story of Gajendra. So Gajendra, he was an elephant in this birth, but in the previous birth he was Indradyumna Maharaj, and he had done devotional service. When at the time when he was caught by this crocodile Huhu, he was not able to think of who the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he just gave out whole set of prayers which came to him from the past life. But in the prayers, it's not very specifically mentioned who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. So, for example, it said, Kalena panchatvamitešu kritsnashu lokeshu paleshu cha sarvahetushu tamastadasid gahanam gabiram yastasya pare vivirajate vibuhu. Yeah, so Gajendra prays, in time, everything will be destroyed. Kalena panchatvam iteshu kritsnashu. All the elements made of 5 elements, all these will be destroyed. Lokeshu paleshu sarva hetushu. Even the lords of the universes and controllers of the universes, all these will be destroyed. Yes, tasya pare vivirajate vibhu. So after that, there will be a huge darkness. And from this darkness, there is a light. And this light is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he makes these prayers which are addressed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by eliminating all these, anything which can come in between. So after hearing Gajendra's prayers, so Gajendra also goes on to say, like, Lord Krishna is the Sakshi and he's the Avidadrik. He sees everything and from anywhere and anything, and he's the Sakshi of this entire universe. So he makes this prayer where he completely rejects everything in between, even Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, everything is rejected, and he offers it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was able to do this because of his previous training, where he, as Indradyumna Maharaj, he has done devotional service, and because of that, he got reminded of this prayer. And even though he didn't offer it very specifically to Krishna, Krishna heard these prayers. So it is mentioned that after Gajendra offered his prayers, Brahma initially wanted to go, and then Shiva wanted to go, and then Vishnu wanted to go. But all of them, they stopped, because each of the time when Gajendra was reciting these prayers, the prayers was so sharp that it was pointed just on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And eventually Krishna came, and Krishna relieved Gajendra from his state. So that goes on to say that the devotional service, it has to be cultivated, and one has to know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. So there are a couple of points which I thought were really important in this passage. One is, the even though sages like Atri or very highly elevated sages, even in their position, they don't really have a good understanding about who the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and by mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we can have concentrated effort in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So which is very, very important. And in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami says there are 6 characteristics of devotional service. And the first is Kleshagni, which is the devotional service kills all the klesha. So we have different kleshas. Kleshas are like material pangs, and these are Adhyatmic klesha, which is created by the own mind and body. And then there is Adi Bhautik klesha, which is created by the other living entities. And then Adi Daivik klesha, which is created by the higher forces. So these kleshas actually make us suffer, and devotional service gets rid of this klesha. So that's the first aspect of devotional service. And then Shubhada, which gives auspiciousness. So Shubhada, when devotional service enters into the life of a person, then it brings all auspiciousness. And then the third, which Rupa Goswami talks about, is Sudurlabha. So devotional service is very, very difficult to attain, which is Sudurlabha. It is not easy for everybody to attain. And by mercy of the Vaishnavas and by mercy of Guru, we get an opportunity to perform devotional service. So devotional service is very, very difficult to obtain. So that is Rupa Goswami's um, uh, understanding about getting devotional service. So that goes on to say that when even in elevated stages like Atri, who was the Manasa Kumara of Brahma, so the devotional service or understanding the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead hasn't arisen, and because of that, the proof is in the pudding. So he had the Trinity who came as his came to answer his prayers. and eventually the Brahma, with potency of Brahma, there was a son called Soma, which is the moon god who was born from Atri Muni. And then there was Dattatreya, who's none other than incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and he was a partial representation of Vishnu. And then Durvasa Muni, who was born as a partial representation of Lord Shiva. So that was the boon which was granted by these three trinities to Atri Muni. And I was listening to a lecture on this, specifically by my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj, and he was mentioning that the importance of the second point, which is to be taken from this whole passage, is that Atri Muni performed austerities to get a son. So this is pretty much not in common these days. Previously, when the Prajapatis were populating this world with a progeny, and when the Vedic tradition, it is always that when you desire a son or when you desire a child, you go through this process called Garbhadana Samskara, and then ask the Supreme Personality of Godhead for a son or a daughter who will be able to carry forward the process of Vedic tradition. So that used to be the process, and it's mentioned that Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who was one of the six Shad Goswamis, he had written this book called Samskara Deepika, and he has given a whole chapter on taking this Garbhadana Samskara, so which is very important to have a Krishna conscious child who will be able to propagate the process of Krishna consciousness and take forward the Vedic tradition as well. So, my Guru Maharaj shared a pastime with Srila Prabhupada, where once Srila Prabhupada was mentioning to one of his devotees that it takes 3 generations to transfer Krishna consciousness genetically. So I was not able to understand that, but then it is explained by in a successive lecture that the first generation, when somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, their parents are not devotees, and their gra- and the grandfathers or the grandparents are not their devotees as well. But once the second generation takes, then their parents are devotees. So there is a little bit more karmic Krishna consciousness coming the child's way. And if the third generation takes, then the parents are Krishna conscious devotees and the grandparents are Krishna conscious devotees as well. So then Srila Prabhupada said that then the karmic transfer of Krishna consciousness also happens in that third generation. So that goes on to say the importance of performing austerities and also to get a Krishna conscious progeny. So these are all mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, but it's just lost as a part of our Kali Yuga. And but by mercy of Guru and Vaishnava, we get reminded of them, and then we'll be able to have proper Krishna conscious children. So those are 2 points which came to my mind. One is that the process of Krishna consciousness is not easy, even for like elevated devotees, like elevated souls like Atri Muni, who was a Manasa Kumara of Brahma, and the importance of performing austerities to have a Krishna conscious child. So